So, hello and welcome to Myymälä 2 evening with Suva and Eero. So tonight we have the initial presentation of the Myymälä 2 Artistic Research Institute program, which Microtonal Music Studios is also part of. So as part of this research collaboration into artistic research that we're doing, we're happy to present Communication, a project by Suva and Eero Savela. Welcome. And maybe I'll quickly say that first they will play a short performance, and to elaborate and show how the instruments work and what they do with the music and how communication is formed through sounds. And then we will sit down to have a talk about it. And after that, we will listen to the recording that was published on Yle Areena. We won't be listening to the whole recording with this live stream, but we will do it here in person, and we will link the live stream into the comments of the YouTube stream so that anybody can click it and listen at the same time. Okay, thanks.
Eero Savela. Suva. Okay.
You will have to talk to Michael.
Okay.
We are so sophisticated. Just check. Everything is working. Is everything working? It seems like we are relying on pure faith. Almost. So, thanks a lot. Thanks really. Like, it's really a pleasure to have you here. And
It's a pleasure too for both of us to present what we have kind of been working on. Just to open the discussion, first of all, I would like to also thank Marjata and Ivor who introduced me to Soila Valkama, through which I came to know Eero, and that's how our thought process of doing the communication project started. And did we start from March 13th, I think so?
It must be March, yeah?
Yeah, 13th of March, if I remember.
Yeah.
you mean this year?
Yeah, this year.
This year?
In the beginning of this
Okay.
year.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you also, Suva.
Yeah.
Nice collaboration. And yeah. Yeah. You can ask questions.
Ask away. Well, actually, I wanted to ask first, like, an introduction.
Yes.
Like,
As telling.
yeah, you know, like, who can you tell us a bit about yourself, and then I have some more specific questions about everything. But let's start from, like, you know, what is it that who are you and what do you do?
Okay. My name is Eero Savela. I'm from Finland, and I play trumpet mostly. I'm a trumpet player, and but also working with different kind of instruments, like building instruments, and playing percussions and things like that. From this point of view, my interest is in improvisation, and try to just like open the conversation, like our title is communication, so it's like the idea was like just like simple, that we connect, and that's the most interesting thing for me, to collaborate with different people and find out what I could be in there.
Hello, I'm Suva. In short, I have quite a long name, but I think Suva will do. Well, I had been, primarily I'm a performance artist, passed out from theatre academy, I have a visual art background, to make the long thing short, but also I had been interested in building sound instrumental sculpture that I've actually started right from 2018 onwards. Actually, quite in the beginning, 2008 was my first log drum, which I started in Hirvitalo. Thanks a lot to those people also. It has been a lot of experience in Finland. And since then, the idea of building instruments which are not conventionally an instrument which you know about. So I tried to little bit of bring a kind of a transformation to it and to see. And later on, I developed like getting the recycled materials into, giving it a shape. It's a sculpture at the same time, and it's an instrument. So yeah, it's a pleasure to work with Eero and several other musicians. I've been fortunate enough to, collaborate. And Tampere has been quite a lot of musicians I met. And here also, I had also did collaboration with Timo and Eero and many others, yes.
Cool. I have some specific questions about the instruments, but I first would like to hear why did you start building instruments? Like, what's the reason? What's the sort of drive for you? You obviously are doing wind instruments. I guess these two not drums. They are. One of them is almost a drum.
Yeah, yeah. It is like a. It's very simple that I wanted to have some kind of a first instrument was like a drum, and I wanted to have a drum, so I built one because it was like it wasn't that one. It was like just like a big drum with the goat skin, and I started from there, and just like the need to have it, and also these ones are also like if I show, yeah, it's in a way. This is like some kind of creature or some kind of a puppet, or it's kind of an idea of to have instruments that are could be some kind of I don't know how to. Maybe you can. Is puppet this? It's kind of puppet. It has a.
Yeah, I mean it looks like an animal.
Yeah. Animistic approach.
No, it kind of
like
that.
A
Yes.
morphing. It's becoming into something else.
It could be like it's just like the idea. Like it's kind of theatrical way, also not like a religious way. Like, but that was then another way to have some kind of different.
Yeah, I mean
way.
the image of the instrument becomes something else. I mean, you're not looking at the trumpet, even though it's making similar sounds. I mean, you are both instruments are playing within like a harmonic series. So you don't have any fingerings. You're just playing one note.
Yeah.
And then whatever you overblow, you can play. And then you can of course vary.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of the basic idea to have an instrument, and also like have it like a sculpture, like. Yeah, that's like that's also like I got from my grandfather's place. There was like a tree. My uncle cut a tree, and then I got 3 of these from the same tree. I have 3 blocks, and they were empty inside. So it was like obvious that I need to do something of it.
Yeah, I mean, Suva also, like, how did you start? I mean, obviously, you said that the log drum was your first instrument.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like community making, music as a community former.
Yeah.
But how did you arrive at this idea of making instruments? What was the desire to?
Sorry. Basically, I wanted to see something different. Like, for example, why can't because to me, an instrument, even if you think about a conventional instrument like a cello any kind of instrument has to me, because I come from a visual art background, it seems a sculpture to me. You know, it seems really a sculpture to me. So then I thought, why don't I really? There is also a funny situation with the guitar, because I used to go to this bar jam and all like that, and then I saw everybody was playing the guitar. So I thought of, why don't I break this concept of just the guitar, and then this idea of cutting the Freigitra came into being. You know, like I guess you have seen that instrument already before, and then also using different materials. I always visit. I'm quite interested in visiting these recycled. See something from the trash which interests me, you know, and then there's always every material has a sound, and so I thought of giving it a kind of a structure. There is this aesthetic apple in it, but at the same time, it has its own sound. And you might have noticed that I don't use too many effects, but usually I rely on, like, I can call those instruments as electroacoustic, because I'm just using only the Piazzu mic, for example, a contact mic, and the rest of the things I'm doing with my hand.
I mean, you have some effects on the amplifier.
Yeah, but the
effects,
microcube effects are very minimum.
Yeah.
You cannot do much. Maybe a little bit of reverb or a little bit of this and that, but it doesn't have much option. But for me, that's enough for that, because most of the time I'm using my hands. Also coming from a different culture in the East, for listening to different genre of music, Indian classical, for example, the percussion, what is it called, the polyrhythmic aspect, and you're doing this research on tonal, what do you call this? Microtonal things. So those things are quite, so even though I'm not from to speak frankly, I'm not from a music background like you go to universities like Sibelius and all like this, but the country where I'm coming from, music, we grew up with music everywhere. And so that the year has been a great tool for me, like it really helps me listening and finding out different, getting out from these, because at some point I thought all these things are based on cover music, so I want to get out of this cover situation and try to invent or try to discover. Invent is a very big word, but discover I think is a proper word. So try to discover sounds from different things, and that's how it came into being.
Okay. That's really nice. I mean, one of the things, especially with your pieces, because we've known each other for I think 10 years, and we've been playing together, and I've been looking at your instruments for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, something that really fascinates me, and I kind of see it also in I was listening to this piece that you guys made together, and I realized some things about why you guys work really nicely together. But the first thing I wanted to, because I really like these instruments, so I came up with this term called like conceptual instruments, because I think they have like concepts behind them before acoustics, right? So I mean, with yours, it's this theatricality and this sort of morphology of nature into some kind of animal being that I saw in this. But with Suva, it's like I saw these electronic devices being turned, like time and other pieces that you've made, which are like electronics. So it's like they have wires, they have this sort of schematics. It's like you're copying like electronics, but then hitting it, which I found really fascinating. It's like
exactly, because
this transformation from the electronic to the tactile in the opposite direction.
And then there is also use of text, for example. I use text as a form of it's a story within a story. When I use the text, sometimes I bring out different issues, considering what I had been, when you deal with those issues, whether it is social, cultural, and displacement, and many such issues. So Then I try to also, when I make the instrument, I write the text. But at the same time, as you were saying, that the conceptual part comes out of those things, you know, and how involving of text, the form, and using of the electric thing is also like, because I observe a lot of sound art where they use these, you know, the device with this box and using this cha. It sometimes gets, I'm sorry to say, no harm to the people who are practicing it, but it gets a little bit monotonous for me. So I wanted to do something, you know, it has that kind of like Romeo morning I was discussing, and he was telling it looks a bit like architectural. So, you know,
in a way,
architectural aspect in that. So also it's for the people to, when they see the instrument, it has its own, you know, look-wise, but at the same time.
I think many of them are definitely designed based on how they look.
Yeah.
And then you explore what they sound like. And I
exactly.
think, but that kind of, I was listening and I noticed this yesterday, was that it's like you choose to have noise, like you start from noise and then you start approaching the direction of tonality. Yeah. So initially you build up like noise formations, and then you go into tonality and pitches and melodies, and you're really in this scale between noise and melody. Yeah. And I really like that. And it's like, this is something I heard in both of you, is that you both work really a lot with timbre, because and the sort of color of the sound. And sometimes you're really kind of forming together in this color, and that works together so well. And now I didn't know that these instruments were this kind. I wasn't sure what you were playing, because it doesn't, I didn't read the text so well, I guess. But now I see, like, I understand, okay, so that's why the sort of tonal range of what you were playing is not huge. I was wondering about that, because it's really forcing you to kind of look at color. I mean, you cannot play like a Miles Davis solo on this. No. You can try.
I play with my, like, a trumpet embouchure with the, and it's kind of a, I can bend note. I can play like glissandos and things like that. So I can play different notes, but of course it's not like it's not so agile, or so you can't play so much. But
it's not rigid.
Yeah, it's not rigid,
which is fine.
Yeah, of course.
It's cool.
It's different, and it's like the basic thing that when somebody gets a pipe and tries out what comes out from there. And also in my improvisation I always kind of think it like that it's first like first I don't know anything, and because that's the, if I know everything before I start, then what you do then what is the communication if I don't so first I have to be like I don't know what comes out from the horn, and same way I also learn how to play trumpet with these instruments, because there's like always like now I played different mouthpiece. I got the trombone mouthpiece from you, so it's different. I didn't know what comes out from the, and it was different. And then I had to find out how to play it and make a different kinds of tones, and somehow it's like that's the basic idea, and I try to learn also that even when I play trumpet I could like start with that kind of idea, the mindset.
Like an attitude towards the improvisation, where you're trying to get kind of like step out of the knowledge you have, and
of course then when I start to do it, then of course there comes like many things, like my knowledge comes from there, and people can hear what I have played before, but in a way the mindset is maybe different than the whole concept. Of course I think the music could sound quite much same different times also that you can maybe hear what I have done before, but if I start from the idea that I'm going to do this, I'm going to play this note with this instrument, then it's like it's not going to work like that.
What about you, Suva? How do you approach improvisation? Like, what do you think? Do you think, or like, how does it work for you?
For me, it's about also if I'm performing with another musician. Solo is a different thing, you know. You're totally let out into explore. But when you are performing with another musician, I find sound becomes the language then, and then. There are things also about how do you read the other musician and what you can also add. There is a moment when you have to wait and see what kind of tonality is coming from the other musician. How do you receive it and how do you respond it? So it becomes a different because I struggle with this language. You know, this in Finnish also you call it this kielitaito. Language proficiency. It has been a kind of a struggle with me. So I find that sound kind of defines a lot. I mean, sound kind of frees me a lot. And when I see a particular sound, how can I contribute to it? How can I add to it? Sometimes, because also goes with this characterization, probably I've noticed that most of the time I have this characterization of going really fast with, approach and all. But then I also find out where I can add up to a bit of a silent or just keeping it subtle or something. But it's all about moments. It's all about how you understand the other musicians, how the sound is coming. And for me, improvisation is it works. With improvisation, it really works. Rather than, of course, I'm fine with when I have to play a percussion with some set compositions and all. That's okay, because also primarily people know me as a percussionist, but at the same time I like to explore different other elements, and I'm also very much attracted to bow, for example, anything to do with bow. So when I make an instrument, I make sure that I make a certain kind of element in my instrument where I can use the bow. Okay. Because a bow has a certain kind of a language which is so interesting, and it goes way back to my own childhood when my dad plays this traditional instrument called esraj and the bow, and when we were kids, we were not allowed to, hey, don't touch it, it's very delicate and stuff like that. So anyway, I got really attracted to anything, whether it is a violin or a cello or when a contrabass player is playing with the bow, it really attracts me. And then also I try to find these percussive elements with that. So then it helps me a lot with the other musician when I'm listening, and how do I respond to it. And it's with Eero. I don't know how you feel, but it seems like we are conversing quite, like we understand each other. And
you guys definitely play together and support each other in this sense.
Yeah.
And I was yesterday, like now I also understand a bit more about like because you were also singing, you also sing with this overtone throat singing. And then you play percussion, and it's nice to hear this kind of difference where what I'm expecting Suva to do, all of a sudden I notice it's you, or like this mixture, and you change roles and you change how it's working. This seemed very nice.
Yeah, for sure. We notice also that we could do similar things, but we didn't know each other before March.
Yeah, before March.
And it was Soila Valkama, the producer of the Yle. Then she wanted to us to work together, so it was her who knew that
Okay.
our music or our approach on things like that, and it was like it was yeah, it was nice to happen. Yeah, very much. The when we are playing together, then it's like also the. Of course, when he sings, he knows all the traditional melodies and things. It's like the tonality is different from the Finnish one, and it's like so. Of course, for me, it's like. It's interesting to find out the way how to sing in that concept, because it's like a mimicking. I don't like the sound when I'm singing, and then I start to like sound a bit like ethnic style or something. Then it's for me it's like oh it happened. It's because of course it's like the mimicking is not nice way to do it. Somehow find it from somewhere else. But when I sing with you, then I can, because I know that I have noticed that you can also like adapt to my tonality, and I try to find ways to add some other colors to the. But when you sing like a very beautiful, nice melodies, then of course it's nice also that go there and try to play something else on that, and break kind of the harmony or something like that.
Also, I remember that while we were working on this project, we almost made 424 materials, 424 minutes of materials. And while we were doing that, we were just casually saying, hey, we actually sound quite similar in our voice tonality. Didn't you notice that? Like we were discussing at that time. Yeah, and to tell you the truth, I have never learned how to sing. I never learned singing. It's all about hearing. All these things, people might say that I might know a lot of classical music and all. It's not true, because I've never learned. I've never been to, like in India we call it guru or pandit or ustad or something like that. I've never been there for a teacher to teach me these vocal, there is this vocal exercise and all. It all came through listening, and also of course I did by myself, and most of the time it's all about observing things, and how do I observe in my audible sense, and how do I take it, and also my interest towards different kind of genres. It's not only because I also try to do overtone. I cannot do the undertone, because undertone needs a lot of practice, but overtone actually I can at least go through, and then I try to, because I'm also interested in the yoiku style of the Samis, so I use different kind of thing, and when I use this voice, it's also the memories I'm bringing together into one fold. And as I'm coming from a mountain place, most of my renditions are going, because you will see many of the mountain lyrics or the mountain sounds are very similar. Wherever you go to the mountain areas, anywhere in the world, if you listen, it's always going like that. It has this, what is it called, that, the diagram, that it goes this way. And even if you see in the weaving pattern, for example, you see the weaving pattern. Yeah, it's always, and it's so much related, even the weaving pattern is having this kind of thing. And there's what is that? Abstraction. Abstraction is so much there, even though we talk a lot about abstract art and all like this. It was so much there, even in the very beginning, when the indigenous and whatever you can think about, the earlier people and all. So I try to, it's all about listening, and that's how I form my voice.
But can you elaborate a bit about how this listening and the abstraction work together?
Listening and abstraction.
Yes. It's a bit of a hard question, I think.
Yeah, it can be a tough question in a sense if I have to sit down in a classroom, but anyway. Well,
We're almost there.
like an academic way. But you see,
because like
yeah.
when you sing, I
Yeah.
mean, obviously there is this somehow traditional
yeah.
tonality to it, or whatever, or
Exactly.
like maybe there's some melodies, or you're using saregamapa
Mhm.
sometimes to indicate.
I really don't know. About
Yeah,
the
yeah,
saregamapa
yeah, but you're still
do, re, mi,
using.
fa, sol.
Yeah, yeah.
I
mean,
just
it's,
don't the names.
yeah, yeah. You just use them as a kind of
Well,
somehow
You
traditional.
know, most of the time, like when I'm listening to tone, I don't know, it happens by instinct that if somebody starts the first note, or how do you say the first note in the musical terms, like
Whatever. First
yeah,
note.
I can actually
You-
figure out
What's the next one?
by instinct what is coming the next, how the tone is going on top.
Exactly.
I can figure out if the one person starts the third one, I can figure out the fourth one, and vice versa. It goes on. Somehow it is just there in me. I don't have
sure.
a
I mean, this is
proper
an innate.
definition. So in a way, you can call it an abstraction or forming the.
Maybe, but that, I mean, I think that's more like innate ability, like children,
yeah.
like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
3-year-olds
Yeah,
are able to play Bach or
Yeah.
whatever. You know, I mean, kids can sing.
Yeah, exactly.
Humans just have
Yeah,
this innate
yeah.
ability for music that we
Yeah.
can express. But I was really kind of like this. So like like you were talking about this landscape abstractions,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then I was kind of wondering how the transformation process of these abstractions become composition or like improvisations, and how that improvisation abstracts itself into becoming communication. And how do you go through this process? And like, I'm
Just
maybe
by
you never
doing
thought
it.
about it, you know.
I
I'm just,
think
I'm just
I think
thinking
it's
now.
I think just by doing it, sometimes things it's very difficult to explain. Sometimes it just happens.
Yeah, but for example, like you
okay.
have
Yeah.
you only brought 2 or 3 instruments now, but
Two
I
or
think
three,
you've
yeah.
made like maybe 20 or 15, 10.
20 will be the exact number if I count the long drums.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's quite a lot.
That's quite a lot.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
do these works like
Yeah.
emerge from each other, or do you, while you're building one, do you think of another instrument, or like how is it that like where do you sketch, for example?
I don't sketch.
Exactly, that's kind of like how does it then you just start, you have an idea and you just start with
When
the
I see a-
materials
you
you
know-
have and start building.
Actually, to me, it works like that. If I see a material, I see the form. I somehow see the form. I cannot explain it. And while processing it, the other thing comes out. You know, then probably I'm moving around somewhere. I found a device. Maybe it works with this one very good. Maybe at the same time I'm making two instruments. So then okay, this one fits there, this one fits. It all comes with this visual art, approach also. Because I have a background in visual art sculpture. The sculptural way of thinking how the structure should be. The sound comes later, but then equally at the same time I'm also testing the sound. Like I have
The sound always comes from your
Yeah.
hands and
Yeah,
your
the
kind of
hands, yeah.
interaction with the instrument.
interaction with the things.
Yeah.
So that's how it evolves. And did I miss anything?
No, I'm
Yeah.
like this. I was just curious of how because it's so prolific. There's so many. But how is it that
Yeah.
they develop, or like do you think they're becoming better, or do you think you're kind of getting close to some idea of what you have of some better form, or like what do you think? And like how's it?
There's always the thing when we casually talk about, this one is the best one you made. This one is the best one you made. This one is, this one is even, for me, they're like my babies in a way, I cannot say this one is not so particularly like that. Every instrument has its own character. So I try to, about the connection, you will find, if you carefully look at all the instruments, if you have the images, you'll see each has a certain kind of a relation. It definitely has a connection. maybe from the visual point of view, maybe from the sound point of view, there's always some kind of a relation going from one to another. So there is, like for example, I sometimes dream about having a solo presentation of all my instruments together, so that I demonstrate one after the other, exploring or introducing the language of each instrument. So then I think the question you are asking can have the answer, you know.
It becomes the answer
Yeah.
of the
Yeah,
presentation.
yeah, yeah.
What about you?
What
What was the question?
what was the question? Abstraction and listening.
Yeah, abstraction and listening, but that was towards the transformation of like your tradition into musical instruments and kind of like objects.
Mm.
That was the first question, and then we had a second one.
About the abstraction, if the what is the opposite of the abstract, then
Literal.
What?
Literal, something that's like.
If that is like something like melodic, rhythmic, basic, no.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I mean, literal is like a representation, a very simple kind of like direct representation of like almost like a photo.
Yeah.
A photo is very literal. If you take a photo of a computer, I mean, it's not
of
a
course
computer, but it's
yeah. Of course, the music is always then abstract in that way. But if it would be like, if I go back to the mimicking, like the idea that when I sing and I'm full of things that I know, and I start to sing like, and it sounds like some kind of something like a traditional way or something like then it's like it could be it's not abstract then, maybe, no. And then in the other way, if I just change the concept of the question, just like if something is like if I have something changing the vibe or something changing the idea how it is, how the sound is new. It's not like people, if somebody registers us like this is the yoiku or something like this is the
I mean,
something like
that's
a shaman,
that's kind of like
thing.
that's when it becomes literal, I think.
Yeah,
it becomes something somebody can easily recognize immediately.
That's kind of in this concept. I think that's like some kind of you can try to go a bit further from that background, go a bit like a further from there. Maybe that it comes like a new, and also like when we are when we are like doing communicating with the music, then I could maybe when you sing something and then I start to play some like different harmonies, like not like following your harmony or something like that. Maybe that comes like you have to like break the barrier of the harmony. You have to do something. If you start to like combine like basic chords, then you are never. You can't. That's the route. Then you can't come back. Is it like? Do you understand? Is it so?
Like a train.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Maybe I don't know. Didn't answer the question, but
It's okay. I mean, I think the answer was. I'm not sure if I understood the question either. It's just something I was thinking about. I thought it was nice to kind of explore this abstraction, literality of instruments and how, like, especially because I'm very curious about how people are able to express things. Like when you say music is a form of communication, like what do you think you're communicating? Like, I don't know, I mean, like, because it's not like.
Okay,
Actually, the title, we had a kind of an, I won't call it an issue, but we were still thinking about the title, but we just left the title into the hands of how it has been, broadcasted. So, of course, we didn't have much of the time to really give it a name, So
I
we
like
just
the
left
name.
it into this
I like it.
and we were just
It's
expressing with
thought-provoking.
how we were, communicating at the same time with our instruments, with our voices, with our. So
No,
I think, and
it's
that
a
way
good
this
title, yeah.
term communication came into being.
I think it was like something like what we were interested about the communicating, and then there was like my friend Augusti Oksanen. We played together in a Paradox box, and then he's always talking about that kind of communication and giving, and also then I was also interested about primal communication. So like I'm working with mentally handicapped people, and then it's like there was like article about primal communication. Somebody like is like not expressing things, and then you start to if I do this and then you maybe answer me, and this is like somebody feels that I'm here, I'm reacting to your thing.
Present.
Yeah, you're present, and you genuinely react to somebody, and you notice somebody is reacting to you, and you start to, and that's kind of like a basic thing that is inside maybe many creatures.
Well, as you're talking about these, that reminds me of my log drum communication project. That's where it comes to, because in the earlier times, when the telephones were not invented, the log drum, like in Africa, you have this talking drum. In the Northeast India and in the Southeast Asia, and the tribals used to use this log drum to communicate from one village to another. And each, it's like, in the telegram, you have this Morse code when you use. That kind of thing was invented, like by the tribes, that they use these strokes, like if it is, it means something. If it is, it means something. That. So it created a language. So the other village receives the message and then they reply back. So different strokes had different meaning for it. So everything is happening through the sound of the the drums. That it has a meaning for the other person to get the message and reply back. It can be a war, it can be some celebration, wedding ceremony, some birth anniversary or whatever. So each thing is indicated with how it is. So that is also one thing which I try to imply, even though it gets in a very polyrhythmic way, when it goes very, you can, maybe I can use the term abstraction in that way because I'm not using the, the structure, tak, 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 but I can probably, make a multiple aspect of that. But then I try to, that is always in this memory, like this is how it used to be, and how can I bring it into this present context, and how do I relate to those through music and with improvisation, for example. Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
I think we've been going for about 45 minutes.
Yes.
Cool.
I think we agreed that 45 minutes would be about enough for the discussion. And so I would really like to thank you both Eero and Suva, for showing us this and talking here. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And I think we will end the live stream here, and I'm gonna link the music link to the chat of the YouTube, and then we will set up. If you will have 15 minutes to run here, because it's gonna take us 15 minutes to set up the speakers and do the listening and have a break. Yeah. Okay. So thanks to everybody to joining. Thanks. It's been a pleasure, and goodbye.
Thank you, everybody.